Hold up. Pay close attention to the sound in the background. Do you hear it? That is the sound of your brain. Your brain eating itself up right now as we speak. Your brain. Do you believe that your brain eats itself? Even right now as you're watching the video, your brain is eating itself right now. This is what scientists refer to as phagocytosis. What is phagocytosis? That's what you might ask. Now the phenomenon of your brain eating itself up is what scientists refer to as phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is basically cell in your brain eating smaller cells or molecules, like eating them up. Now what are these cells that your brain eats up? They are basically unwanted cells, infection cells, dead cells that serve no purpose to the brain or serve no purpose to your body, no beneficial purpose. So what the brain does is it eats them up. It eats them up and it removes them from your body. It's the brain dead cells or waste cells removal technique. That is what phagocytosis is. It's your brain basically eating up cells that are unwanted in your body and sending it out. Before you start running to your doctor and saying belly told you that you have phagocytosis, listen, this is a normal occurrence. It happens to everyone. Everyone on earth is experiencing this phenomenon called phagocytosis. There's no cause for alarm yet, unless of course there is, there's no way for the brain to moderate the way it does this, the way it consumes the dead cells and the way it removes dead cells or choosing dead cells to remove from your body. Now there are situations whereby phagocytosis, the brain eats too much, more than what it's supposed to consume, and causes a problem, health problems. Now if the brain should consume less than what it's supposed to consume, it also causes another health problem. You see, if the brain consumes too much, more than what it's supposed to consume, it leads to neurodegeneration. Then if your brain should consume less than what it's supposed to consume, that's what leads to autism, unfortunately. If your brain should consume more cells than it's supposed to consume, it stresses the brain out and leads to wear and tear on time, which leads to neurodegeneration. What is neurodegeneration, you might ask? Neurodegeneration is basically the death of the brain, because it's the gradual loss of the function of the brain, and this affects, in fact, is the death of the cells in the brain, the nerve cells in the brain and the peripheral nervous system. Neurodegeneration is the slow death of the brain, the gradual death of the brain, meaning your brain stops consuming itself and stops working. That's one way ticket to your maker to face judgment. Imagine the brain as an overgrown bush. You need to clear the bush to weed out the unwanted grass. What does the clearing is what scientists refer to as microglia. That's what does this cutting and the eating in your brain. So microglia is responsible for eating, just like basically cutting out unnecessary parts in your brain. The people that tend to do something that annoy you, don't be mad at them. It is the fault of phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is the one responsible. Like, people might act silly, act foolish, do silly things to piss you off. Don't be angry at them. It is phagocytosis because their brain is eating itself up. You get something is all heaping up. If there's not something that comes time to time to moderate it, goes completely out of control. Now that's where microglia comes in. Microglia keeps everything under control. Now unfortunately, in the developmental stage, in the early developmental stages, for some people, there's no more phagocytosis activity going on. Now this leads to several health complications because there's no microglia coming as it's supposed to keep everything in check. So everything just gets layered up. I know what some of you might be thinking, that okay, phagocytosis is like the end of the world for everyone. No. Why do you think you're able to forget about your ex? You just broke up with someone, you just choose to forget about them, then you've forgotten about them. Your brain has sent signal to microglia that, hey, look at the memory of Amaka, I don't want peace. Remove her from my head. She's no longer a part of my life. The microglia removes the memory of Amaka and she's gone. Then you are back to not feeling hot, I guess. Like, if your brain is not eating itself, you would lose your control, you will lose your brain function, you won't be able to control even your hands. Like, your central nervous system will just shut down if your brain is not eating itself. The day your brain stops eating itself, that's the express ticket to judgment. You'll be in front of God explaining, giving account of the life you lived on earth. However, whatever you do, remember your brain is eating itself slowly. Hear that again. That is the sound of your brain eating itself up. I think it's mine.